So this area is known. And then fourthly, it is clear and manifest. And it's a sign of Allah the Exalted. It's a sign of His holiness, which cannot be known except by the fact that Allah has brought about this sacred city. Don't you remember that whenever the dog and the deer are brought together in that haram area, the dog does not make a move on the deer. The deer expresses no fear of the dog. And this was mentioned on the journeys of Al-Qadi Abu Ya'la. Close quote. What he's talking about is that haram sanctuary. One of the things that you'll notice, and it's one of the things I noticed, birds, they're not sleeping the whole time. And they're flying around the Kaaba the same direction the people are going. And they're chirping all night long. Those birds. They appear to be robins, but I don't know what breed they are. But they appear to be either robins or blue jays. And they're up all night. I sat and watched because I stayed up all night once. And all I saw them is one of the chandeliers inside Masjid al-Haram. They were flying around there, and then they would dart out and fly around the Kaaba, the direction that the people are going. So they're making tawaf with them. Land on the kiswa or the ghilaf, shoot off into the distance, dive bomb on some of the hajis that are new that are coming in, and then fly back under the chandelier and disappear for 5-10 minutes, and then blast out again. And every time new Hujjaj came, they would come out. When you look at the outskirts, we were on a bus driving in the outskirts of the Mecca, of the Haram. And you could see animals that you wouldn't normally see just coexisting, just moving around with each other. Animals that are normally predators, that other animals have great fear of, they're just moving around like nothing's going to happen. They're just totally just submitted antelope, other animals moving around. Yeah, I know that there's a big ferocious animal, has canine teeth. It's not going to do it. It's like it's as if they're saying he's not going to do anything, though. He's not going to do anything. Maybe he's waiting to get outside of the city limits where he says, okay, now I can do something. But in the meantime, I can't do anything. And so this is what Al-Qadi Abu Ya'la saw in his journeys and travels, and what other ulama have seen, that even the animals, the animal kingdom is under some sort of different set of laws in the Haram sanctuary. So it is a blessed place, Mubarak. And often this is used in some speech when you tell to someone, oh yes, I just passed my exams. Oh, Mubarak. Mubarak means that there's some blessing intent in that thing. There's some holiness and sanctity in that thing. I hope there is in the exam you passed. And then it is a guidance for the creation. So by seeing all these things, it's supposed to be a guidance for you. It's supposed to be a reminder of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to clarify who's in charge of the haram. Not the Hajj authorities, not the UN. But Allah is in charge of that place. Right? Now, Imam Ibn Al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he then says, quote, and the Exalted One says, in it are signs that are manifest. So, the manifest of the signs, remember, Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, when he was asked, he said, the manifest signs that are being spoken of are the maqam of Ibrahim that is present, and that whoever should enter Mecca is safe. And the Exalted One has mentioned these signs. Now, you should also remember that Al-Hasan al-Basri enumerated the signs. And I was looking at his fingers as he was enumerating the different signs. And he said, of the signs of Allah that are clear and manifest are the maqam of Ibrahim. Whoever enters the Kaaba is safe. And Allah has a right over the people that they should do Hajj to the house at least once. These are the manifest signs. And Ibn Jarir al-Tabari has mentioned that the maqam of Ibrahim is a reference to those signs. There are many signs, as the scholars of commentary say. They've mentioned that it's the maqam of Ibrahim. Whoever enters it is safe. That birds fly in a pattern in which they never exalt themselves over it. People who are ill seek cure when they're in the city. And those who violate the sanctity of the haram are punished with speed by Allah. The companions of the elephant were destroyed when they were trying to lay waste to the Kaaba. All of these are signs. Al-Qadi Abu Ya'la reminds us again that when Allah said regarding the house, that Allah has a right over humanity, Hajj to the house, the intent of house here is the entire haram, because these signs are present therein. The maqam of Ibrahim is in the haram sanctuary. And the maqam of Ibrahim, its sign is because it is on top of a rock, the place where the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam stood with his feet as they were building up the Kaaba from its foundations. This is a proof on the power of Allah and the truthfulness of the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and his tactics. And whoever should enter the house is safe. Al-Qadi Abu Ya'la, the elder, has said, it means that whoever enters it is safe. So if someone has committed some criminal act before entering it, and then he enters it, then this person is safe. But if someone commits a criminal act in the sanctuary after having entered it, then such a person is not given sanctuary and safety, because he's violated the sanctity of the Kaaba and rejected his safe passage. So this ayah remains as it is, truthfully, that whoever should enter it is safe when they go into the haram sanctuary. Now, the ulama have a difference of opinion in some of the regard of people seeking safety in the haram. Imam Ahmad said, if someone is to be killed, to have a hand cut, or one of the other judgments and other than the haram, then they enter the haram, the judicial punishment is not to be applied upon him, nor is the legal ruling to be given. But the people should not buy and sell with him, nor should they trade with him until he comes out. If he did some criminal actions while in the haram, then he can be removed from the haram because of what he's done. If he kills someone outside of the haram, then he enters the haram. He's not to be killed while in the haram. But if he goes out or he's taken out, the judicial punishment is established on him. Imams Abu Hanifa and his companions, Malik and Shafi'i, have said that all the judgments are applied upon him therein. But our position is that whoever enters it is safe. This is a proof that there's nothing established upon him in that matter. This is our position. And is also the position of Ibn Umar, Ibn Abbas, Ata, Sha'bi, Sa'id ibn Jubair, and Tawus. Close quote. So, if someone commits a criminal action, the sanctity of Mecca is such that if they committed a murder or they'd committed theft, you do not carry out the judicial punishment therein. You do not kill them, even though they may be deserving of the death penalty for what they've done. Why? Because the sanctity of Mecca is so severe. The sanctity is so great that it has preeminence over those laws. Certain laws have preeminence over other laws. Man's in the desert, he's starving, he must choose between death and Wilbur the pig. He says, I don't want to eat Wilbur, but I am under compulsion. So the severity of him eating Wilbur is more important than him upholding the rule at that time of not eating Wilbur. So he eats Wilbur, but just enough of Wilbur to survive. So he doesn't ask for ketchup or seasoning or Dr. Lowry's seasoning sauce to put on Wilbur. No, he consumes just enough of it. He doesn't make beef jerky out of it. He doesn't carry extra supplies with him and say, my, that was delicious. He takes enough to survive, to keep himself alive from that point, and he's sure that he's consumed enough to stay alive that he can try to make it to his next juncture. So he's sure, I've consumed this. He doesn't pack any extra. I must make it to my next destination. The same thing with this. The sanctity of the haram is so great that certain things are waived because of the severity. And only under certain circumstances, in the case of a prophet that's been given permission by Allah and things like this. It's one of the reasons why some of the rulers of the Bani Umayyah were punished so severely. For example, when Abdullah ibn Zubayr radiallahu anhu was killed inside of the Kaaba and they burnt the curtains of the Kaaba, the Umayyads suffered incredible defeats. Every single one of their lineage was cut down in Damascus. And the only ones that lived were those who had fled to Andalus, which is now Spain and Portugal, that didn't take part in that action. The entire lineage was exterminated from that side. That's how serious it is. There's people that, when you go there, you will see unusual, wondrous, and miraculous things in the Haram of Mecca, where people do things to violate the sanctity and all of a sudden something happens to them. I've seen all different types of things happen to people. I've watched men. I watched a man feed, who was on crutches. I watched him feed a 3-legged cat a bowl of milk, and he was able to walk after that. I've watched people that had said something or done something wrong in the haram. One man, he had a massive coronary or something, and he fell down. He was dead instantly. I've seen all types of things happen around this holy sacred place. When you're there for a month and you just sit back as a spectator, making sure you're in wudu always. Whenever your wudu breaks, you go renew it again. Even if you're not sure you have, do it again. Do tajdeed of wudu on top of wudu, because of the sanctity of this place. And just sit back and watch the haram as everything goes by. Just watch everything. You'll see the attitudes of the people. Even the cleaners, the people that are in charge of cleaning it, even they're unusual. Even they're unusual. Like, they're cleaning and they're able to move around. They don't get hit by any of the people making tawaf or they're able to move around, and you see them sliding across the floor, and then they slide back, and then they mop everything up, and they take off the barriers and do everything, and they get all of this done in the busiest place on earth while 7 million people are going through all of these different things. They get all of that done. They don't say anything to you. They're just moving here and forth. We sat back and looked at these men, and we said, you know what? And the brother said to me, what? I said, these men are the real kings. This is what they do all day long. They're in Al-Masjid Al-Haram all day long. We would love to do this, but we have our family, our groups, everything. These are the kings of the earth right here. Alhamdulillah, they wouldn't give it up for anything. They just love being there. You can't get rid of them. And it's those people, they're the masters of the earth. We used to come and kiss these men on the shoulders because of what they represent. These holy men, what the work that they're doing. They don't complain to anyone. They just say, brothers, and it's amazing how people obey them when they had to clean out some of the areas where the Zamzam water. Oh, brothers, could you please move? Everyone all of a sudden broke into middle file lines, unruly Arabs. Right? Undecided Pakistanis. Everyone broke into their respective groups immediately and was waiting single file, probably the first time in their life that they were actually orderly and waiting single file. And they cleaned up, and after that these brothers came. I mean, everything these slaves of Allah did. You watch the slaves of Allah that are attendees, the sisters that are outside are told, okay, we have to dust all of the mushafs. We need to be back here in 4 hours. Go. And you just see them moving quickly, dusting everything down. You see women that come there that wear the full hijab, and you'll see where you can see the exposure of their eyes. You can see the flesh of their eyes and the skin just around it. Out of respect for the sanctity of the Kaaba, they bring down the other screen. So even the flesh around their eyes in that area is covered. That's what this place represents. It's what it represents. There's people that have gone there and they were blind and they can see. People that have gone there, they're deaf, they're not deaf anymore. People that have gone there, they can't speak, they can speak now. People went there, they got cancer, they don't have cancer anymore. There's a brother that called me recently. A brother went there, he had inoperable cancer. They opened him up on the table and the doctors closed him back up. They said, we can't do anything with this. If we touch it, it's going to explode. It's literally, the cyst is so big it's going to explode. We can't touch it. Close him back up. Close him back up. It's cancer. They said, listen, this is inoperable. Old man, you better count your blessings, have your last bread, and this is the end for you. He said, okay, before I die, I haven't had the opportunity. I just want to make Hajj. I've wasted all this time. Let me do it. He makes Hajj, comes back. Doctors look at him, take some scans and everything else to say, well, it appears, unless our records are incorrect, are you sure went through all the listing, date of birth, where he's from, checked everything. Looked at his social security card, all these other things. It says, are you sure that you have this condition? Oh, yes, absolutely. The doctors refused to operate on me. He showed them the hole where they'd done the incision, where they'd opened him up. And he said, no, there's no listing of this for you. Are you sure? Took x-rays. He said, you don't have any cyst. What are you talking about? You don't have any cyst. Yes, I do. I surely do have a cyst. Look at my other x-rays. Look through the x-rays. Yes, we see the cyst here. There's no cyst here. I think there's been a mix-up here. No, there's been no. I'm definitely this person. I remember they cut me open. They gave me general anesthesia. I was unconscious for so many hours. Well, no, you don't have any cysts now. I'd say to just move on from now. And if you do get a recurrence of this cyst, come back. So this is the type of place that Mecca represents. And there were signs that happened in the group that we were with where brothers, people thought one of the old men in our group, they said, oh, he's not going to make it. He's too old. He's never going to make it. He did more of the Hajj rituals. There were young people that fell down from exhaustion. There was a Muslim brother, he was 22 and he had dehydration. How are you 22 years old and you're dehydrated? This guy's 65 years old and he had to actually do Rami for some of the younger brothers. How are you 22 when a 65-year-old man's doing Rami for you? Oh, brother, I'll do Rami Badal for you. What? He's 65. It's supposed to be the other way around. But the Kaaba and Masjid al-Haram in Mecca is a miraculous place. And that's why I'm saying that when it says it's blessed and holy and a guidance, you should think about all these things. So if you get the opportunity to go there, prepare for it right. Don't stay screwed up like you are there and say, now, Allah's going to fix everything once no. Get everything prepared, get your will written, get everything done, and then go out there. Because there's a possibility that Allah could tell you, well, now that I've invited you out here, you're not going back. Some of us haven't thought about that. Well, Allah's invited you to come out there and says, now, I'm going to kill you here, you're not going back. I want you to die here because you're more valuable to me dead here than you are alive back there. Think about that. Now, Imam Ibn Al-Jawzi, rahimahullah, he then says, after this, quote, so, let it be known that what has been given and the truth that has been spoken has been revealed. And when Allah has said that He has over humanity Hajj to the house, what that means is that the people must follow this. The people have all said at that time, we are Muslims and we are making Hajj. So this ayah was sent down. The Muslims had made firm intention to make Hajj. The idol worshippers at the time of this ayah's revelation, they left Hajj. And the Jews said, we will never make Hajj. And Allah has said, the Hajj that Allah has on humanity is Hajj to the house for whoever is able to make his way.